Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Steve Fishback with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department Public Affairs Office, and today we're going to be discussing an officer-involved shooting that took place in the 6100 block of Winged Elm Court here in Charlotte. As we release that body-worn camera footage, it is the purpose of this video to provide additional details and context so that the viewers may have a better understanding of this event. What you're about to see is an unedited, full-speed version without interruption of the body-worn camera footage of Officer Whitley, followed by a detailed breakdown by a subject matter expert of that body-worn camera footage. Keep in mind that the suspect's face has been redacted due to the fact that the suspect is a juvenile. Also understand that this video contains strong language and violence that could be disturbing to some viewers. Shortly before 7:30 a.m., a caller contacted the CMPD 911 call center and advised that a suspect had tried to steal his car as well as had tried to kill him. Let's hear that call for service.
Charlotte 911, do you need police, fire, or medic?
Outside of my apartment was a guy with a pistol trying to steal my car, and he was pointing at me. He was trying to kill me.
All right, and when did this happen?
Right now.
So he tried to rob your vehicle?
Yes.
And he had a gun?
He was pointing at me.
What did he look like? Was he white, black, or Hispanic?
He's black. He has a black backpack, and he has a black pen and black
Okay, and he had a pistol?
Sweater. Yeah, he had a pistol. He is still right here in the apartment.
Okay, so he pointed the gun at you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you confronted him, he pointed the gun at you?
Yes. He put the gun in my head.
All right, and he's still in the parking lot?
Yes, he's in front of the office.
With the information provided by that 911 caller, officers responded to Winged Elm Court.
Independence is running one possible robbery suspect.
Get on the ground! Let me see your hands! Let me see your fucking hands! Hey! Get on the fucking ground, man! I'm not playing with you! I'm not fucking playing, bro! Get on the fucking ground! Fuck! Oh, fuck. 1100. I shot at suspect. I'm shot. Start medic for.
We will now hear from Sergeant Steve Winterhalter, a 25-year veteran of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Sergeant Winterhalter spent 13 years on the SWAT team as both an operator and a supervisor. He's currently assigned as the range master to the Firearms Training Division.
All right.
So it's important to discuss.
Let me see your hands! Let me see your
With the information
To the beginning here. So this officer is responding to a call involving a gun. They know that he knows what he's going to. There's a person reported to have a gun and has pointed it at someone in the commission of a robbery. That is a high-risk call. A high-risk call like that dictates that a rifle should be coming out. I don't know anything about this agency. I don't know if they have patrol rifles in their vehicles or not. I would suspect that they probably do. Many agencies do out there, but there are some out there that don't have patrol rifles in their cars. As he was en route to this call, I think that the best thing to do is get the rifle out, sling it around your neck, charge it, get it ready to fire, or get it loaded, and proceed to the call. If that requires you to have to pull over to the side of the road to get out, to go back to the trunk and get it, then that's what you need to be doing. If it's in the cab and a rifle mount, then the safest thing is to pull over instead of be driving and trying to do that at the same time. That is the safest thing to be doing, because when you think about things that are most harmful for law enforcement as far as injuries and deaths, one of the top leading things is vehicle accidents. So you don't want to do anything that would cause you to wreck on the way to a call, right? So even if it's in the cab of the vehicle, I would recommend pulling over, get it out of the mount, sling it around the neck, rack it, and then proceed. That way, when you get on the scene and you dismount from your vehicle, your rifle is already ready to go. If he had pulled up on scene and then decided to get his rifle out, it would have been too late. He would not have had time to even get his rifle out if it was in the trunk. He could, as he was pulling in, maybe hit the disconnect to pull the rifle out, and then would have it as he's running and could charge it then. That's plausible. But if it's kept in the trunk or the cargo hold area, then it's not very realistic to go to the back, open that up, go through the stuff that's back there, find it, pull it out of his bag, and then get it into play. It makes more sense that before you ever arrive on scene, pull over for the 30 seconds at most, a minute at most it would take to get that thing out, slung around your neck, and charged. A rifle is far more superior than a pistol. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. Rifles are more accurate and their terminal ballistics are way better.
Multiple robbery suspect.
So the guy actually fell down and went down to the ground, or the suspect.
Hey, on the fucking ground, man!
But of course he quickly gets back up and takes off running. I mean, not much this officer could have done. His momentum was still carrying him forward. I mean, some people are just able to quickly recover like that and then head the other direction. So, I mean, nothing negative to say about this.
Play with you! I'm not fucking playing, bro! Get on the fucking ground! Fuck!
So he gets hit and goes down, and then he starts firing, and his gun has a malfunction. The slide locks back, or not locks back, but possibly the casing gets, it's a stovepipe, maybe the casing's stuck long ways or whatever, but let's see that one more time.
Fuck!
Might be able to pause it. Let's see.
Fuck! Fuck!
It's going to be difficult to get it.
Fuck!
I see it, but I can't pause it on fast enough.
Fuck! Fuck!
It is like right there. Okay, got it paused perfectly. So I don't see a round sticking out of the ejection port. The round could be within the ejection port, be kind of sideways, hasn't fully come out all the way. Just can't see enough of what's going on. But he is able to pull the slide the rest of the way back, and it goes forward, and the gun goes back in the shooting. If it was a double feed, he would not have been able to do that. So I think that the most likely thing is a Type 2 malfunction where there's a casing still in the ejection port and hasn't fully come all the way out. He gets his gun back in the fight and starts shooting at the guy as he's running away. Some people have a problem with people being shot in the back. I don't have an issue with it, and in this context, I have no issue with that whatsoever. This guy just shot him, and he is fleeing away from him. This guy is now a substantial risk to the rest of the public. He was already reported to have tried to rob a person, point a gun at their head. Now he has run from the police and shot the police and is now continuing to run away. Under Tennessee versus Gardner, it is perfectly acceptable to use deadly physical force against a fleeing felon just to stop them if they are a substantial risk to the rest of the public. This guy is very clearly a clear and present danger to society. So under these circumstances, yes, I think it is justifiable for this officer to use deadly physical force to stop that guy from running away, from getting away.
Ah, fuck. 1100. I shot at suspect. I'm shot. Start medic for.
We will now hear from.
I like how after being shot and going down, returning fire, fixing the gun, firing again, and going to slide lock, he does that, all that, and then gets on the radio. He gets a good two-handed grip onto the gun after he fixes it and continues putting rounds at that guy. There's been other times in other videos I've seen where someone just wants to quickly try to get on the radio. There's a time and place to be talking on the radio, and there's a time and place to be fighting. And this officer is fighting, and he is devoting both hands to that handgun because that handgun needs both hands on it to assist in making it as accurate or better accurate versus if it's just one hand on the gun.
Ah, fuck. 1100. I shot at suspect. I'm shot. Start medic for.
We will now hear from Sergeant Steve Winterhalter, a 25-year veteran of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Sergeant Winterhalter spent 13 years on the SWAT team as both an operator and a supervisor. He's currently assigned as the range master to the Firearms Training Division.
So it's important to discuss what does Officer Whitley know at this point. He's responding to a call for service with an armed individual who was involved in a larceny from auto and then brandished a weapon toward a civilian in the community.
Independence is running one possible robbery suspect.
We see here Officer Whitley arriving on scene, and he's immediately encounters the individual that's running on foot. Subject falls down right there, has an opportunity to surrender and comply, but continues to flee on foot while Officer Whitley's giving loud verbal commands to stop and get on the ground. What we see here as he reaches the hill, the individual turns around and with his left arm turns towards Officer Whitley and fires upon Officer Whitley, striking him in the shoulder area down and into his body. Officer Whitley immediately is able to return fire with his service weapon and falls to the ground. So after Officer Whitley fired those first couple of rounds, the gun jammed up. He had to resort back to his training, do an immediate action drill, which essentially is just him getting the weapon back up and running, unjamming it so that he can continue to engage if need be. He assesses that the suspect is still a threat not only to himself but the other officers on scene and the community members inside the complex. So this overhead of the map is just showing the flight path of the suspect being the red arrow. You've got a red box where that's the actual location where the exchange of gunfire took place, and then a blue arrow indicating where the assisting CMPD officer was coming from. His backdrop being the wood line behind the suspect. Officer Whitley engages the suspect as he continues to flee, being mindful that the suspect is still armed and has not dropped the weapon nor complied to get on the ground. Officer Whitley perceived that the suspect was still a threat to himself, the responding officers, the earlier victim in this case, and any other members of the public.
At this point in the video, Officer Whitley has been shot by the suspect, and the suspect has also been apprehended. At this point, we are seeing the view from Officer Whitley's body-worn camera that is laying on the ground, as Officer Whitley has taken his uniform shirt off in preparation to be treated by medic once they arrive.
We're checking him out right now.
On top.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm good.
Hey, that's fine.
I got you. Calm down, man. You're good. We're good.
I'm sprinting. That's all.
We're good. Look at it. Is it through and through?
Where's the suspect?
You down there.
That's what you mean?
I'll take your best one. Suspect's down there.
Alright.
Y'all good? Everybody good over there?
What you need to do?
1300. It's going to be a gunshot to the upper left shoulder. Officer has been shot. Looks like it's just in.
Alright. I'm good, man. You got a gauze?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. You know who that is?
Yeah. At this point, we will stop.
You got a gauze?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. You know who that is?
Yeah. At this point, we will stop watching the body-worn camera footage as Officer Whitley is receiving medical attention. Despite what was heard earlier in the video about this being a graze wound, it was found that the bullet actually penetrated deeply into Officer Whitley's shoulder. Treating physicians determined that removing the bullet would cause more damage to Officer Whitley's shoulder, so that bullet remains lodged in his shoulder to this day. Despite that, Officer Whitley is expected to make a full recovery. As for the suspect, following his apprehension, he was identified and it was determined that this 14-year-old had a lengthy juvenile criminal arrest history. A portion of what he has been charged with in the past is now shown. The suspect remains in custody for the events that transpired in this incident. Officer Whitley was aware that as for the charge with
a couple things right now. So his injury that he received, you do not have x-ray vision, and so you cannot see inside the human body and know what a bullet has done. Things may appear one way, but they are actually the other. A bullet may go in, you may be squared off to the target, fire at someone's chest, and its trajectory, if it was a laser beam cutting right through them, it would go straight through the front of the sternum, through the heart, through the spine, and then out the back, right? But bullets are unpredictable, and so you would think that would be its trajectory, but it could hit the rib cage and then deflect and then go down, go sideways, go up, or just stop right there. You don't know fully what bullets are going to do. So that wound that they thought could have been a graze wound, it may have been something where it just was not profusely bleeding a whole lot initially, and that can be something to expect. That could be something normal going on at first, and then it could change. So when a person is in fight or flight, there are some psychological and physiological changes that occur, and one of those physiological changes that occur is the body starts to constrict its blood vessels, and it wants to preserve the circulation of the blood and keep that blood closer to the core, which is why you will see people who've been involved in these incidents, been involved in fights, been involved in accidents, or at a haunted house or somewhere, and they have this pale kind of appearance where they look white, like someone will say, "Oh man, you look like you've seen a ghost." That is because the blood is leaving, or not leaving, but it is not being pushed out to the exterior as much, and is being retained more to the core. And That is theorized to be an evolutionary development where over years and years and years and years, animals, humans have the bodies have figured out that in a fight, if you're cut, you bleed a whole lot. So if it's just the outside area and you get cut, and the blood is not going out to that outside area, then good. Less bleeding to occur in that fight. And blood going out to the extremities, the outer part of the body, although it is crucial for long term, the body is more concerned with keeping the core supplied with better blood. And so when a person receives an injury, because of those vessels being constricted in that moment, it may not be bleeding a whole lot. There have been people who've had traumatic amputations, and there was not a whole lot of blood gushing out of their severed limb like you would expect. Now, as they calm down, quote unquote, calm down after that, the vessels started to loosen up, and then boom, they would be bleeding as you would normally expect. So there's been people who've been shot, there's bullet holes in them. There might be a little bit of blood, but there's not a whole lot of blood there, and that's because of the vessels, could be constricted. So that sounds like it could be what was going on. They saw a wound on him, thought, hey, it looks like it just took some meat out or something like that, and it wasn't bleeding a whole lot, but in reality, it was actually inside of him. That's actually a pretty common thing, too, when bullets go inside of people. They go into areas where it's actually detrimental to remove the damn thing, because it went in there at such a high speed and got lodged in there that it didn't break a bunch of stuff doing it or ruin a bunch of stuff doing it. And the process to actually remove the thing could cause more damage to someone. There's actually people who've been shot in the head, and they're still walking around with bullets in their heads.
So that bullet remains lodged in his shoulder for the suspect. Following his apprehension.
All right, so a 14-year-old in the last 7 years has accrued all of these charges. 11 counts motor vehicle theft, 16 counts of stealing out of vehicles, forcible fondling, 1 armed robbery, 6 burglaries, 1 assaulting an employee, driving without a license. I mean, that's not the end of the world shit right there. There's good kids who kind of will do that too. Hit and run. I mean, there's a lot of people who do that. Resisting arrest, larceny, assault on an officer, trespassing. People get trespassing all the time. But there's some pretty serious shit going on here, other than the driving without a license and the the vandalism and that stuff. Yeah, that stuff is still bad, but I mean, there's some other bad shit going on there. And he's 14 years old, and this has been in the last 7 fucking years. Like, wow, he's on one. So, I mean, he's been doing shit since single digits. Now, the juvenile justice system overall is a joke. It really is. Juvenile laws have been crafted with good intentions, people with good ideas, but people who have no background or experience whatsoever in dealing with serious offenders. The laws are set up for those juveniles who do stuff like driving without a license, speeding, the normal everyday types of crimes that other adults do. Running stop signs, maybe some shoplifting, stuff like that. And I can get behind the idea and support that juvenile court and punishments for those offenses should be slightly different than for adults, right? Like, we are still in this phase of teaching them, okay? But then it gets to certain things where it is apparent that there is no fixing someone. Armed robbery, assaulting a police officer, assaulting a school employee, fighting your teachers, burglaries, going and breaking into someone's house or someone's building and stealing from them, forcible fondling, stealing 11 fucking cars and stealing out of 16 of them, controlled substance like that. That's not going to be marijuana. I guarantee you that. It's going to be something else. Those are some serious issues right there. Maybe if they had a one-time occurrence on something like stealing out of a car, okay, I could even still be down with treating them a little bit differently. Maybe the possession thing, let's say they might have been in possession of some cocaine or something. I can understand going a little bit of a different route for that, trying to get them off that bad path. But at what point, when the charges start stacking, do you say, all right, let's continue with this kitty slap on the wrist bullshit, or say, fuck this, let's try him as an adult and lock him away for a very long time? Unfortunately, to get to the point to lock them away for a long time can be incredibly difficult to do, and does not always happen. There may be some processes involved that require all these different things to be met before being able to do it. And it can be red tape stuff to make things difficult, and or just the locality. You may see that in smaller counties, more rural areas, the judge is going to be a little bit more harsh. You go to other areas where it's a large city, large metropolitan area, those judges may be more liberal-minded and will do nothing, practically. Here in the state of Kentucky, juveniles got it pretty good. They get 3 automatic pretrial diversions for all misdemeanors. A juvenile can break into your home, steal all your valuables, and they will get an automatic pretrial diversion. Automatic. It's a given. They don't have to do anything to qualify it. It's just whatever is a misdemeanor, they qualify for it. Pretrial diversion means that for a certain length of time, so long as they do not commit any new offenses or don't get caught for any new offenses, and they maybe write you an apology letter, take a couple classes here and there about respecting other people's property, little stuff like that. They complete that. They may be stipulated, hey, you can't be skipping school, doing anything like that. You gotta have good grades, no bad reports from teachers, nothing like that. So long as they do those for a short amount of time, it goes away. It's like it never happened. And they get 3 automatic pretrial diversions for any misdemeanor. And then they get 1 automatic pretrial diversion for a felony. So long as they haven't killed someone or raped someone. That won't be pretrial diverted, thankfully. When peace officers catch juveniles for things like burglaries, they don't even go to detention. They get held at the police station or in the back of the car, and then a person called a court-designated worker comes out, meets with the juvenile, asks them some questions, and then they will tell the officer to release the offender to their parents or their guardians. There's been times where officers have chased in a pursuit juveniles. They crashed out, caught them, they had drugs on them, stolen stuff, and court designated worker says release them to parents. And then, so long as they haven't maxed out their pretrial diversions, it all gets pretrial diverted for them. Yeah. Like that is some crazy shit. And people don't realize this either, because no one looks into, you know, how the processes work. And you can't even fucking open records request any juvenile records anyway. It's all held classified like it's fucking CIA material. So no one's able to look at court records and see that this bullshit goes on. People have no idea the miscarriage of justice that the juvenile justice system is in this country. There are juveniles who, at some point, it is clear that there is no fixing them. There is no real, true, rehabilitative actions that can be taken to correct them, to afford them those privileges that others get to enjoy. At some point, those privileges need to be revoked. They should not enjoy the comfort of the juvenile system anymore. They should be treated as an adult and be given adult-type punishments. Each state varies with what they do, but here in Kentucky, when it comes to juvenile offenders, there is really no true punishment that is handed out. There is treatment. So let's say a juvenile maxes out their pretrial diversions. They get caught for, you know, burglarizing some homes and stealing cars and stealing stuff, and they get caught for it, and they get found guilty, or they plead down to it, whatever. They can go be sentenced to what is known as a youth development center. And a youth development center is like a camp. It's actually referred to as camp. They all call it camp. And they can be there for either a misdemeanor track or a felony track. Misdemeanor track is 4 months. Felony track is 8 months. So they could break into your home, steal your shit, etc. And the most they could probably get is 8 months at a camp. And while they're there, all they got to do is take out the trash, wash dishes, mow the grass, pick up sticks in the spring so that the mowers don't become damaged. And that's it. They get to play PlayStation pretty much all the time, go play basketball pretty much all the time. They get MP3 players. They get to watch movies all the time. They can go what's on called outings if they've had decent behaviors, meaning they can leave that camp with their staff and go out into the community, go to a buffet, eat food, go to a movie theater, watch a movie, go shopping at the mall. All after they broke into your house and stole all your fucking shit. That's treatment. And on top of that, they are required to have counseling sessions, individual and group sessions, the whole time they're there, and complete a series of workbooks called the 7 Challenges, I think it's called. There is no fence around these facilities. It is not a correctional prison looking type of setting. They literally have the look and the feel of a summer camp. And that is treatment. That is what is being done. That is what is being used on juvenile offenders who steal from people's homes, break into people's homes, sell meth, fucking shoot at people, shoot people, kill people. That is what goes on in the state of Kentucky. There was a juvenile from E-Town, Elizabethtown, who killed his brother. He was the killer was like 16 years old, I think, when he did it, maybe 17. Strangled his brother to death. He was in juvenile detention, and then he went to one of those camps. The camp that had no fence around it. And stayed there when he turned 18 and a little bit after he turned 18. So he could get his high school diploma. Luckily, the judge decided that he needed to go to adult prison, and so he sent him. And of course, he had a little temper tantrum there in the court. Said something like, "Fuck you, I don't care," or something like that. There was another person who is a murderer who killed their sibling as well. Chopped their head off over a dispute over the Wi-Fi because they turned the Wi-Fi off or something like that. They too went to one of those camps. They did all the little stuff they were supposed to do. Got their GED. I think they maybe took some, or not their GED. Got their diploma. Took some other classes. That judge decided that, and they stayed there, until they're 18 and a little bit after. And then that judge, where that person was from, decided that they were rehabilitated and released them to parents. So there is a person out there right now here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky who, within the last 3 years of, let's see, here's 2023, 2022, so I think it was sometime back in 2021 when this occurred. Someone who killed their sibling, cut their head off, spent maybe 2 or 3 years in confinement at most, and is now walking around with the rest of us. But unless you know people who are in that system and can hear the stories that they tell, you would never know about that, because you are not allowed to open records request those records. You would never be able to see that shit. And so the public never knows that crazy ass shit goes on. They never know that 14-year-olds who've been doing shit since they were like fucking 7 or 8 years old, doing all this stuff, are just being given little slaps on the wrist and being sent out to go terrorize more people. Yeah.
Officer Whitley used deadly force against the suspect. Furthermore, Officer Whitley was justified in his actions in accordance with the North Carolina General Statute that states that an officer can use deadly force against a suspect who is escaping by means of a deadly weapon. It is clear in this case that the suspect was using a deadly weapon, a firearm, to shoot Officer Whitley as a means of escape. To shoot officers that the suspect was using.
It's unfortunate that this person is still breathing. It's unfortunate that this officer was not more accurate with his gun. And I'll leave it at that. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.